kids? David here with Solid X State, and we are going to be talking in this video about the most recent going-ons in the culture, and that has been the climate protests. You know, millions of mainly high school students, you know, ditching school for the day, man. And some of them found themselves out in the streets, you know, carrying signs and protesting the use of fossil fuels as if you will, that bed, that foundation of energy on which the modern world is built. Fossil fuels, man, the use of fossil fuels. You know, so what's the beef with fossil fuels? Well, you know, I think we all know, man, the beef is global warming. You know, global warming. We are told over and over and over again the crises of our day. But let me begin by pointing out, you know, that the left historically, you know, please bear with me, because self-criticism, self-reflection, I think finding where we are at fault is of greater value than validating where we are right. You know, finding where we are wrong, correcting, improving our game, so to speak. Our game is improved by finding, you know, those weaknesses in our thinking, our weaknesses in our actions. And so self-criticism is of the highest value. You know, it's of the highest value. On the merits of self-criticism, you know, we mature as individuals. You know, we become, our utility, our mental utility is honed and focused on the groundwork of self-criticism. You know, recognizing, discovering what it was we were doing that wasn't quite working. You know, so bear with me when I say this, that the left is notorious. The left is notorious for being long on complaint and yet short on solutions. One need only to look at the history of the left to see that indeed they are long on complaint, whether it is that of disparities, whether it is that of poverty, disparity, inequality, you know, making a case for that which is unequal, that which is unfair in our culture. You know, the left has a long history of making a crisis out of the issues of the day, but short. You know, and it's okay, maybe it's okay to do that, but yet they are short. If you look at the history of the left, they are short on proposing effective solutions. You know, this is what the left is good at. They are good at crises, but they fail when it comes to solutions. When it comes to a history of successes, dude, the left there isn't even a measurement for it. They suck at it. But with that being said, it would seem that the climate crisis is in some ways the new poster child of activism. You know, the thing that people will rally behind. You know, marching in the streets yet will do little to steer the Goliath of a planet floating through space will do little to steer the Goliath of a planet. But I would like to point out, man, that it may be that the alarmism, that the crises that is presented, that the idea, you know, even just the other day, there was some article, and they were talking about Venus, you know, because on Venus it's like 800 degrees, you know, and they were trying to suggest in the article that maybe Venus was once inhabitable, but the climate got screwed up. So somehow they were trying to suggest that this might be what the future of the Earth might look like. I just couldn't believe it. It's like there is nothing to suggest that Venus was ever anything but what it is. And there has never been any time in Earth's history where it has been uninhabitable. You know, the climate has gone up and the climate has gone down, man. You know, the poles froze over all the way down to the lower, 45th parallel, and people still lived on the planet. The planet still survived. The planet's always been habitable. I would like to point out, though, this. I would like to point out, because I think that essentially our concern is science, is it not? We are concerned for what is the science? What does science say? Well, I'm going to point out a few things that science does indeed say, and yet it is not to suggest that the world is going to turn into a giant oven. It is not to suggest that everything is going to be a desert and it's going to be some sort of, you know, Blade Runner or Mad Max apocalypse, you know, because the question is, you know, what is the effect of heightened carbon monoxide levels in the atmosphere? You know, global warming. What is the effect of heightened carbon monoxide levels in the atmosphere? You know, does the planet turn into Venus? Does the world turn into a desert? Do the seas boil over? Right? Well, what they found is that heightened CO2 levels in the atmosphere has had the measurable effect of greening the planet. The planet is greener because plants feed on CO2. Who would think? You know, plants feed on CO2, and you know what a warmer globe really looks like? A warmer globe is a wetter globe. More precipitation, more evaporation off of the face of the ocean, putting more weather systems into the atmosphere, dropping more water on the ground, more CO2, more plant food. Global warming is a windfall for a more fertile earth, a earth that yields a greater harvest. And you know, I know this doesn't get talked about much, but the population globally, man, it's making its way up the ladder. You know, shall we come up with some dystopian solution? Or may it be that nature is paving a way for a more populated world? May it be that global warming is a net benefit to a rising global population. Higher farming yields, a greener, more lush, more beneficial world for us to live in. Think about it. Think about it. Because when we read articles suggesting that the future of the planet is a boiling oven likened to Venus, 800 degrees. Come on, man. Come on. You know, when they talk about everything turning into deserts, you know climates that are dry typically are climates that are cold. You know, some of the driest places in the planet is Antarctica. It's the air is devastatingly dry. Of course, it's because all the water's frozen. But the point being is that oftentimes deserts are not boiling, are not places that are 130 degrees out. Oftentimes deserts are cold. You know, they are withdrawn from the beneficial weather systems. You know, a colder climate is a drier climate. You know, you take too much carbon monoxide out of the atmosphere, you kill plant life on planet Earth. Think about that. You take too much carbon out of the atmosphere and you kill plant life. You know, I've seen these things where they talk about, they've got these like stuff that will take carbon out of the air. I think there's roads. People are developing these things that'll scrub carbon out of the air. You know, be freaking careful, mastermind. You know, in your attempt to fix the world. You know, be careful that you don't F it up in your attempt to fix it. Yo, man, and that's my 2 cents. God bless. Take care. See you guys next time.